The first time Ethan Carter met the future Queen of the Stars, she was crying in the rain. At the time, he was only 10 years old, living on a forgotten human colony called Haven 47, a small mining world on the edge of explored space. The colony was poor, isolated, and largely ignored by Earth. Most people spent their days digging rare minerals from the planet's rocky surface and dreaming of a better future. Ethan was different. While other children dreamed of becoming rich, he dreamed of exploring the stars. Every night he would climb the hill outside the colony and stare into the endless sky, wondering what waited beyond the distant lights. One stormy evening, he got his answer. A streak of silver fire tore across the heavens. The object crashed several kilometers from the settlement, shaking the ground beneath his feet. Alarms immediately sounded throughout the colony. Unidentified vessel detected. Security teams responding. The adults rushed towards safety. Ethan rushed toward the crash. Curiosity had always been his greatest weakness. When he reached the impact site, he found a small escape pod buried inside a crater. The hatch slowly opened. A little girl stepped out. She looked about his age. Her long silver hair glowed faintly in the darkness. Two delicate crystal-like horns emerged from her forehead, and her bright violet eyes were filled with fear. She wasn't human. She was alien. The little girl looked around desperately before noticing Ethan. For a moment, neither child spoke. Then she burst into tears. Ethan blinked. That wasn't what he expected. He had imagined terrifying monsters, not a frightened child. "It's okay," he said gently. Of course, she couldn't understand him. Still, she seemed to understand his tone. Slowly, he offered his hand. After a moment of hesitation, she took it. That simple gesture changed both of their lives forever. The colony authorities searched for the alien survivor for 2 days. During that time, Ethan secretly hid the girl inside an abandoned observation station overlooking the valley. He brought her food, water, blankets, and slowly, they became friends. She eventually learned enough English to introduce herself. Lyra, Ethan. The two children spent hours teaching each other words. Sometimes she showed him tiny holograms generated by a bracelet on her wrist. The images left Ethan speechless. Gigantic cities floating among the clouds. Worlds covered entirely by oceans. Starships larger than mountains. Civilizations so advanced they seemed like magic. "You live there?" Ethan asked. She nodded proudly. Then her smile faded. Home. For the first time, Ethan realized how lonely she must feel. She was light years from everything she knew. He promised he would stay with her until help arrived. 3 days later, help came. The sky darkened. Thousands of enormous warships emerged from hyperspace above Haven 47. The colony panicked. People believed an invasion had begun. Military defenses activated. Emergency bunkers opened. Then the alien fleet transmitted a message. They were searching for their missing princess. The little girl Ethan had rescued wasn't an ordinary child. She was Lyra Valeris, the sole heir to the Celestial Empire, one of the most powerful civilizations in the known galaxy. When royal guards finally located her, they rushed forward in relief. Behind them came a woman wearing a crown of living crystal, the Empress herself. Lyra's mother, the ruler, embraced her daughter tightly before turning toward Ethan. A translation device allowed her words to be understood. "You protected my child." Ethan shrugged nervously. She needed help. The Empress smiled. "A simple act of kindness can alter the fate of galaxies." She removed a glowing crystal pendant from her neck and handed it to him. "This is a royal token of gratitude." The jewel shimmered with blue light. Ethan accepted it carefully. Before leaving, Lyra ran back toward him. She hugged him tightly. Then she spoke words he would never forget. "Wait for me." Ethan laughed. "What?" "When I grow up," she said confidently, "I will marry you." The surrounding guards nearly choked. Even the Empress looked surprised. Lyra ignored them all. She extended her little finger. "Promise." Still laughing, Ethan linked fingers with her. "Sure." Neither child understood how serious that promise would become. Minutes later, the fleet departed, and Lyra disappeared among the stars. 15 years passed. humanity changed. Thanks partly to technologies inspired by the mysterious crystal pendant, human civilization expanded rapidly. New colonies appeared, new ships were built. Humanity finally began earning its place among the stars. Ethan grew up as well. Now 25, he served as captain aboard the exploration vessel Horizon. He had become exactly what he dreamed of being as a child: an explorer, a pioneer, a man determined to push humanity farther into the unknown. Yet despite all his adventures, he never forgot Lyra. Not completely. Sometimes he wondered what became of her. Had she forgotten? Probably. After all, childhood promises rarely survived adulthood, especially promises between members of different species. At least, that's what Ethan believed. Until the day the galaxy stopped breathing. The warning arrived suddenly. Thousands of hyperspace signatures appeared near human territory, then hundreds of thousands, then millions. Every sensor network became overloaded. The fleet approaching humanity was larger than anything ever recorded. Panic spread instantly. Earth declared a state of emergency. Colonies prepared for war. Military commanders feared extinction. No civilization possessed such power. No civilization except one: the Celestial Empire. Humanity expected an ultimatum. Instead, a single message appeared on every communication screen. A woman sat upon a magnificent throne of crystal and starlight. Her silver hair flowed like liquid moonlight. A crown rested upon her head. Her violet eyes seemed brighter than entire galaxies. Ethan immediately recognized her. Lyra, the little girl from Haven 47, now queen of the Celestial Empire. The transmission spread across countless worlds. Her voice remained calm. "I have come to fulfill a promise." Confused silence followed. Human leaders exchanged nervous looks. "What promise?" one admiral asked. Lyra smiled. Then she spoke a single name: Ethan Carter. The entire galaxies turned toward him. Ethan nearly fell out of his chair. Oh no. 2 days later, he found himself standing inside the largest starship ever constructed. Royal guards escorted him through halls made from living crystal. Every corridor seemed designed by artists rather than engineers. Finally, enormous doors opened. The throne room beyond was breathtaking. Thousands of nobles stood in attendance, alien kings, diplomats. All watched silently. At the far end sat Queen Lyra. She rose from her throne and descended the steps. For a moment neither spoke, then she smiled. "You waited." Ethan laughed nervously. "You actually remembered?" "Every day." The answer stunned him. She had ruled an empire spanning thousands of worlds. Yet somehow she remembered a boy from a forgotten mining colony. "You were my first friend," she said softly. "When everyone else saw a frightened alien, you saw a child who needed help." Ethan looked around. "You brought an entire imperial fleet because of a childhood promise." The nobles shifted uncomfortably. Lyra grinned. "Yes." The room erupted into whispers. Apparently, even her advisors considered this unusual. One elderly noble stepped forward. "Your Majesty, surely human tradition does not recognize childhood agreements as royal contracts." Lyra's expression hardened instantly. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. "Then perhaps," she said coldly, "humanity should be asked what they value." The noble immediately stepped back. Ethan realized something important. This wasn't really about marriage. It was about something far greater. A queen powerful enough to command galaxies had never forgotten kindness, never forgotten loyalty, never forgotten a promise. That realization affected everyone present, especially the nobles. Over the following weeks, Ethan and Lyra spent countless hours together. They talked, lauded, shared stories. Slowly, the friendship that began in childhood evolved into something deeper, something real. Not because of a promise, not because of duty, but because they genuinely cared for one another. For the first time, Ethan saw beyond the crown, beyond the power, beyond the legend. He saw the same girl who had once cried in the rain, and Lyra saw the same boy who had offered his hand when everyone else was afraid. Months later, representatives from Earth and the Celestial Empire gathered for the largest diplomatic ceremony in galactic history. Billions watched. When Ethan finally stood beside Lyra, he smiled. "You know, I never expected this." "Neither did I," she admitted. "Then why keep the promise?" Lyra squeezed his hand. "Because promises matter." She glanced toward the stars. "And because humanity reminded this galaxy of something many civilizations forgot." "What's that?" Her smile widened. "That true strength isn't measured by fleets, weapons, or empires." She looked directly into his eyes. "It's measured by kindness." The ceremony that followed united two civilizations, but more importantly, it united two people whose lives had crossed by pure chance many years earlier. A frightened alien princess, a curious human boy. One promise, one act of kindness, and a future neither could have imagined. As celebrations echoed across thousands of worlds, Ethan looked toward the stars once more. Only now. He wasn't wondering what waited out there. He already knew. The answer had arrived years ago, in an escape pod during a storm, and she had kept her promise.